My name is Ralph, at Cthulhu on Twitter. And we are picking up for session 6, maybe? 6, 7? Somewhere in
6 or 7.
There's a lost episode, forever lost to time. But we are picking up right in the middle of things with this cast of characters. Let me mute my Twitch audio. Alan, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself and your character real quick.
All right. Alan, Big Al the lawyer, playing Talion Till Devandi tonight and every night until he dies. And
which was almost last session.
That's right. It was really close. It's really close. Over to you, Andy.
Oh, sure. I'm Andy. I'm playing Gideon Blacklake, a Carnathi human fighter.
And I'm Jules. I am playing Azure, a blue dragonborn storm sorcerer.
Hello, I am Michael. I am playing a ghost who is a dwarven-shaped warforged.
All right, perfect. So last session when we were together was quite some time ago, IRL. So just as a recap, you guys have been in possession now for the last, I would say it's a little over a week or so that you guys have been traveling together. I'd have to look to see how long you were actually on the train. But, yeah, it was a few days. You guys have been traveling together, securing a package that seems to be of goblinoid interest, a cursed ruby known as the Heart of the Seawall, seemingly capable of summoning spectral goblin warriors from the ancient Dakani Empire, of interest to a group of hobgoblins that attacked the museum where it was originally displayed, a group of bugbears that attacked your train as you ferried it out of the gnomish nation of Zalargo, and of interest as well to the Crown of Breland and its intelligence organization as well. Specifically, in order to rid yourself of this, you guys have been tasked by the Morgrave University to secure the gem in the Archive Sub Rosa, a series of extra-dimensional vaults housed secretly within the Morgrave University grounds for the storage of items that can be studied and disposed of at a later date. You were in the process of troubleshooting a vault to store this ruby, which is still in your possession. You've braved a couple of rooms fighting half-dragon giant rats and navigating a trap that shot fire from a fire giant's outstretched hand and drugged your gnomish companion into worshipping it temporarily. But he's better now. And you guys have moved in...
He got over it.
Yeah. You guys have moved into what appears to be one of the last chambers in this vault. And if you recall, after once you have reached the vault's interior, you were instructed to leave the ruby behind there, and that they would go in and reset things accordingly, and maybe take some troubleshooting advice from you. You guys had some suggestions for how the vault could function better.
Don't have to feed the undead.
True.
Yeah.
Free labor.
Well, the room that you guys are entering presently, I wrote a little bit of box text to describe. And this is the classic DM problem of, will this puzzle be solved in 5 minutes or an hour? So let's see what we get here. There are 4 alcoves set into the walls of the circular chamber, each containing an orb of a particular color: orange, white, blue, and black. In the room's center, 11 colorless orbs drift at varying speeds and orbit around a center point in a lightly shimmering cloud of arcane energy. A large set of double doors stands at the far end of the chamber, encased in a at least foot-thick layer of ice that stands in stark contrast to the otherwise temperate room. So that is what you all see upon entering. The chamber beyond you has deactivated. The oil is no longer spouting from the walls, and the statue is no longer shooting fireballs at you. And it's in these moments, as you guys are taking this in, that Talion, you come out of your haze No,
What
no longer.
happened? What happened?
That religious experience.
That's one way to say it.
I feel hungover.
You probably should.
Yep,
Actually, I think
that
you
would
feel like
make
you
sense.
you feel like you could go for a wee bit more dart.
You were, in fact, filled with the spirit.
Gotta avoid the not safe for work commentary.
All right. And there are, of course, yeah, the room is yours as described.
So 4 orbs, blue, orange, white, black,
Yeah.
and there are 11 that are circling around in the middle of the room.
Colorless ones, yes.
Colorless.
Yep.
Are there any gaps between them?
Go ahead and make a perception check.
Um,
And if anybody taking a cue from him wants to move in
15.
and inspect it. 15? Okay.
I can math, I promise.
Red?
Oh, 16. No,
Ooh,
15.
that-
Sorry, my bad. 15.
Okay.
I can't math.
You can't.
It was DC 16, so now you get nothing.
Oh,
no, it's just... okay. There are 2 orb-shaped holes in the cloud of the arcane energy that appear fixed in space. One lies near the center of all of these orbits, and the other one is farther, like on the rim, basically. But even as you're observing this, the colorless orbs are moving in rotations around these, and these 2 points in space are just like empty voids and like the little shimmering arcane motes that look like fixed points.
Are the colored orbs giving off any heat, cold, like... If I go touch one, it's not going to explode on me?
That's in the form of a question. Make it a statement. I touch one. Do I? No.
Like, more so like
Yeah.
reaching out, do I feel any heat or cold, anything emanating from it? Like,
Sure. Reaching out, you don't feel any sensation near the orbs. Just kind of looking at them casually, it looks like they aren't anchored here. They're not like attached to these alcoves, so they could be picked up and moved about the chamber.
Hole in the center of the...
I'm not hearing you, Jules.
Yeah, you're a little faint, Jules.
Sorry.
That's good.
Could I mage hand one of the orbs over to the center of the giant cloud of colorless orbs?
Yeah. Which one?
Okay. Does anyone want which color should I go for?
What color
first?
dragon are you?
Blue.
Yeah,
I
go
mean-
blue.
All right.
well, there are 2 holes
Right.
in the orbit.
Yeah.
Hey,
so
it's a PG-13 show.
actually, there's 3. That was a. I just watched Spider-Man Into the Multiverse. Okay. Yes. Which orb, and would you like to place it near the center or far from the center?
I'm gonna say near the center.
Which one? There are
The blue.
4. Oh, okay.
I'm trying the blue to start.
Okay. Everybody take your Constitution modifier and multiply it by 2. Let's say minimum 1, okay? And just keep that in mind for a moment. Suddenly, as if the room has been turned into a vacuum, all of the air is immediately drawn from the room. Normally, you can hold your breath for a number of minutes equal to like your Constitution modifier, but this happens so rapidly that that you all just feel the air kind of begin to evacuate from your lungs as well.
The ghost doesn't breathe.
I don't
Oh
notice
yeah,
a thing.
very valid point. I didn't think about that. Well,
Score one for Warforged.
Talion, what's 2 times your
It's conscious.
Constitution?
Well, it would be 0, but since you
So
said
say minimum 1. You guys are immediately like grabbing at your throats and feeling like you're about to pass out. Probably Gideon's fine. Azure.
My call 2.
Okay.
So I'm going to immediately go nope and pull that
Okay.
back if I still
It does.
have the.
Yeah, it does feel like the orb is a bit fixed. So you try the mage hand, and the mage hand isn't able to exert enough force to move it.
Can I bap that out with my
Sure.
shield.
Just make a strength check for me, and this is going to represent. Well, we'll see if anybody else.
Nope. 8.
Ghost thinks this is some sort of game he doesn't get, so I'm gonna start pretending like I'm also doing this. I'm like pantomiming it.
And Talion, do you have one action to take before you potentially fall unconscious and begin suffocating?
Honestly, I don't think there's anything I can do that's even remotely helpful right now.
All right.
So I'm just like, not again.
All right. Let's just take a quick look at the suffocation rules. I didn't read up enough. Let me just see.
I saw this in the movie Explorers. All we gotta do is unplug it and plug it back in, right?
Okay. You all watch as Talion falls to the ground. Azure and Gideon, it looks like you guys are probably the next to act, seeing the urgency of the situation.
I again.
So you try
You
that.
try to
I'll
move it again?
Yeah,
if you want to work
sure.
together, I mean, you would get advantage on the roll. If both of you are...
sure.
Okay.
Sure, I will.
All right, well, you give me advantage. Don't.
No,
Yeah.
that's right. You don't want me.
I don't want
rolling
you
shit.
rolling a strength check.
No.
Ooh, that's much better. That is a 21.
Yay!
You do manage to drag it from its position. As it comes out of the fixed point, it comes free into your hands, and the air immediately rushes back into the room.
That was a bad idea.
Sorry.
You know what? Yeah. Let's
It's
go
fine.
with that.
For poor little Italian to see, like, still
Yeah,
out, or-
I'd say you bounce back pretty quickly. You were only down for a second.
Come away from the light.
couple brain cells. It's
Yeah.
fine. It's
You-
fine.
you
Those grow
gasp.
back, right?
You guess.
For the record, my headache is worse now. My hangover is worse. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It only killed the weak one, so you're actually
Yeah.
statistically better off.
There you go.
That was in the nearer orbit.
You know what's
Correct?
funny? I just realized I actually did that backwards. My apologies, but we'll go with it. Yeah, that was that was
Okay.
the nearer option.
All right.
So now we put it in the farther option. Everybody hold your breath first.
Well, okay, hold on. I would say for the sake of the logic of this puzzle, and this is a DM mistake, and I apologize. I'm just gonna have to say you put that in the far one. If you would have, it would have maybe had a different result. You have to try to be sure, but.
Perfect. So we went. Okay, so this one went in the farther.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe you were mage
Okay.
handing it to the near one, and you just drifted too close, and it just like
Yeah, sucked it in. Just slipped
All right.
it in.
yeah.
Warped right in.
Well, that the door ahead is barred with ice. And I thought maybe try the orange one for fire.
I mean, you
Well,
can't have
blue is
fire
air.
without oxygen.
So you want the white one too?
Well, I thought blue was air, or lack thereof.
Or lack thereof.
So I'm just saying that, like, if things get hot, throw the blue one again.
Wasn't I burning already? Like just
I would
a
also
little
say at
while
this
ago?
point, those of you who are trained in Arcana, you can go ahead and make a check to get a better idea of what you're looking at here.
Okay, let's take a peek at this. That would be good new die. 20.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a 12 for me.
I think Jules has got it, so I'm just agreeing with her. Them. We just covered this. Is your character?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've always known Jules. I've always known that Azure was a female. I don't know what everybody else's
assumed she
confusion is. All right. A 20 is very good. So what a 20 is going to buy you at this point, taking a look at the orientation of these orbs and the way that they're moving. This looks like a representation of the planes of existence in the known universe, and there are 13 that orbit Eberron. So you're seeing 11 colorless orbs, which means that 2 of these orbs are probably taking the place of ones that are absent in the current orrery. With a 20 total, you can actually look at the orbits, and judging by like the remotest one and its point kind of unmoving and kind of seeing some of the orbits of like the more commonly known ones, you think that the 4 not included in the current configuration, or no, I'm sorry, you think that there are Does that make sense? Yeah.
There's two missing.
There are two missing, correct. But looking at the orbs present here and kind of drawing a conclusion about like what orbits you see, you don't know all of them, I would say. So you think that these 4 that are to the side here represent Fernia, the plane of fire, Rissia, the plane of ice, Sirenia, the plane of air, and Dolur, the plane of death.
Oh, let's not use the black one.
Yeah, let's not play with the death orb.
So you were just manipulating the blue one, which is Sirenia,
Okay.
the plane of air.
Mm-hmm.
So either we put it in the wrong place, or it wasn't the right orb to begin with.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we're going to need fire, and ice balance each other out. So the orange one probably needs to be thrown in, but it's just a matter of where.
I was thinking orange and maybe blue on the near one.
Well, if I place it on the far one and the blue one sucked the air out of the room, and that's supposed to be the air plane of air, what would then putting it in the center then make it be like a windstorm in here?
Well, let's start with that one before we start with the fire one.
We know to hold our breath just in case, right?
Yeah. Talion.
I'm also going to look for some place to maybe grab a hold in case it gets really windy in here.
Okay. Placing the blue orb nearest the center, you all immediately feel you grow extremely light on your feet, and you find that with just a little bit of focus, you're able to actually elevate yourself off of the ground. You're all under the effects of a levitate spell.
I'm flying!
Yes.
This is rather novel.
There is, of course, the fan on the ceiling to worry about.
Hey,
I can't burp.
I'm holding on to something. I'm just like, I knew this was a bad idea.
There is no fan on this.
You get nothing. Good days.
Aside from that, it doesn't seem to elicit any other change in the room. Maybe the orbs move a little bit faster in their orbits, but you all probably spend a moment enjoying the novelty.
One there, and try the orange one in the far orbit.
Adam, what do we think? Try the orange one in the far orbit?
That's fine.
Okay.
Says
Right.
Italian as he walks over to a ghost and wraps a hand around the ghost's leg. Like, all right.
This is fine. I'm fine. All right. I'm going to attempt to move the orange one then into the orbit that's on the edge.
Sure.
Yeah.
When the orange orb reaches the furthest place in this configuration, the air in the room grows colder. Almost to the point in just a moment that it turns from a temperate kind of standard dungeon chamber temperature to plunging into like a nice winter's day. No immediate ill effects, but
Maybe we put the white one
in there.
in the orange one's place.
Yeah, it gets warm and melts the door, maybe. Okay, I place the fire one back, and I grab the white orb, which is the ice and such, right? Not death.
No.
Okay, good.
seems
Okay.
Nobody touched the death orb.
Oh, you see, Gunnis is
Back to
reaching
life,
for
right?
it.
Leave it. Leave it.
Touch the death orb.
okay. So you're placing the orange orb where? Or you're placing the
orange
white
orb is going to go back to its resting place,
Okay.
and I'm going to place the white orb where the orange orb was. The blue orb's still in the center.
Okay. Placing the white orb at the farthest point.
Mm-hmm.
The air in the room does grow warm.
Ooh.
You guys are still levitating, I assume.
Yeah.
But
Whee!
Talion, since you're specifically wanting to be grabbed onto something, you're able to have like the horizontal locomotion. You kind of like pull yourself along the floor towards the door, and you can see that as the chamber has become warmer, the ice has begun to sweat. It did not appear to be doing this when you first entered. but it's only very faintly at this moment. I mean, if you just know from Zalargo winters that this is going to take a while to melt off at the current rate.
I think we need to speed this up, guys.
I kind of nod and...
Fire orb in the middle?
Oh, I was going to just go chip away at it.
Oh.
I mean, if I can get a crack or something, maybe it's
Okay.
enough to break the ice. Ha ha.
Ha 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 ha.
You might be at a little bit of a disadvantage to get leverage on your swings while levitating. But...
Levitating?
Well, I'm levitating only as long as I'm focusing, right?
That's true. So you could will yourself back to the ground.
I mean, I'm a land.
Your hammer feels very light in your hands.
Mm-hmm. All right, I'll take a couple swings at the panel of ice in front of the door.
Okay. Why don't you just go ahead and just give me a damage roll?
Damage. I like damage.
What's your damage?
4.
Minimum.
So you give it a good solid whack. And you are maybe a little bit surprised as your hammer is made of metal. Metal conducts temperature, conducts heat or cold. But you feel like a sudden burning sensation of cold as it begins to rime the haft of your warhammer. And you take 4 points of cold damage as it just immediately flash freezes, crawls up your hammer.
Okay. All right, now I'm down 4. Okay.
You did do a little. It seems like you did maybe a little bit of damage, an indent right where your hammerhead was, but
yeah, not the ideal.
So maybe we pull the blue out.
Yeah, I mean...
Masking, not doing.
We can pull out the blue. See what happens.
Sure.
Yeah. I won't make you make a strength check since you're not suffocating at the moment, but it takes a little bit of force to move them. So you're able to lodge the blue one free, and all of you, maybe you were just an inch or two off the floor, just kind of fall to the ground and feel your weight again.
Oh, thank heavens. I start vomiting in the corner. There's no corner, but I start vomiting.
I'm a long way down for you.
In one of the alcoves, the death orb alcove.
Yeah.
Don't vomit on the death orb.
Do we want to try the fire orb in this spot? Be nice and toasty in here? Or do we? This makes it do what it's supposed to do, I guess, in the center.
Let's do it.
Sure.
You place the orange orb in the center spot, and because you have representationally brought the plane of Fernia coterminous with Eberron, the center point, and you have moved Rissia to the remote section, none of you were really into like the zodiac, I guess. This doesn't occur to you, but putting
Mercury retrograde now.
Putting Rissia in retrograde was really the key. So, as the air grows warmer and all of the cold has pretty much drawn from the room, warmer and warmer still, the ice rapidly begins to melt. And chunks begin cascading onto the floor, which turns into a puddle and kind of evaporates relatively quickly. No ill effects towards you all. It seems like this was the intended solution for this. So, as the last chunks of ice fall to the ground, the double door stands before you.
On our list of suggested improvements, I'm going to write, why not just 4 death orbs?
Or just paint them to look like other orbs, but they're all really
paint them all like.
Yeah, I should have swapped the white one and the black one. Speed style. You just gotta. All right, perfect. Throwing open the door to the next chamber, you can see that there is a pedestal in the center with like a black obsidian, like marble-looking top to it. And seated next to that is like a glass crystalline bell jar. I would say it probably occurs to Azure and a ghost. This black obsidian looks similar to the material you had seen in the dean's office, or Fedic Doring, the curator's office. And when you placed the ruby upon that, it nullified the magical effects. This probably stuck out to you, Azure, as somebody who's interested in Arcana, and it stuck out to you, a ghost, because you picked up the ruby and sat it down multiple times to see it light on and off. So it seems like this is probably a secure place to leave the ruby.
Gonna miss you, little feller. Been through a lot together.
As you look into it and speak these words, you can see the dull glow growing just a little bit brighter.
Aww. I have to yeller it. You go now, you get.
No, I mean, then you see the green glint of a spirit crawling forth from the center point, making its way towards the. Yeah, what do you do?
Nope.
Place the ruby on the top.
Sure. All right. You feel a weight lifted off of your shoulders. You guys, like I said, have been
Get down, Talion.
You guys have been dealing with this for just maybe a little week or so at this point, but it's been the subject of quite a bit of interest from parties that you would rather not have the interest of. So, that being said, there is no other exit to this vault. Once you place the orb, you see that the light at the center of it just kind of winks out. You can place the bell jar on top of that as well, just for an extra little bit of security. But the chambers behind you seem to be inert. No other giant rats or anything barring your exit. So you're able to kind of turn around and exit Vault 51. By the time you guys do make it back to the front and give a knock on the door, letting them know that you've concluded your business, you can see that Fedic Doring is waiting there for you on the other side. He's just kind of been standing in the hall there, looking at a writing desk, like a portable writing desk, and scratching out notes and such. But you guys were in here actually for a little over an hour, because you did take a short rest after that first encounter, I believe. So it looks like he sees that you're all alive. You can see him make a couple of quick marks on his paper, and he looks over the lot of you and says, "Well, job well done. I'll have the vault security team get down here and reset all of this. It took you a little over an hour to best the wards and watches of this vault. As we expected, closer to 2 hours. It would have given more time for the other security responses of the facility. But nonetheless, you all seem a little
I'll
worse.
outright... I don't want to be too antagonistic here, but I'll outright tell him the only reason it took us an hour was because we stopped for a break.
You can see he just looks down and scribbles something else, probably subject hostile. But he does furrow his brow a little bit at that, and he says, "Some of the wayfinders have gone through permutations of this, and not all of them fared as well. So perhaps you're just made of sterner stuff than our typical troubleshooting teams. Nevertheless, a deal..."
Some of us, at least. And without being able possibly to give side-eye, a ghost gives side-eye.
Just one of your eyes, just the light goes out temporarily.
Yeah. It's like, can't see it, but you see it.
Like dims just a little bit.
We have secured for you the Morgrave University rate at the Golden Dragon here in the Middle Memphis Plateau. It's down near the Smoky Towers, the theater district, just a few levels below here. The arrangements will be made to procure whatever items you all are looking for in recompense. Again, The offer stood for 400 gold pieces worth of magical goods and services, or 200 gold pieces coin. Take a night, mull over what it is you might be after. Here, he kind of pulls out a stack of parchments, and he says, here's a price list of some of the things that we can do on short notice, custom work and all that. And tomorrow morning, return to my office and we'll discuss the matter of recompense. I'll show you out, of course. Can't have you wandering around here. And he gestures for you all to follow. He leads you out the same way that you came in. So you take a lift that deposits you behind the giant taxidermied specimen of the weird buffalo, hippo, dinosaur creature here in the public area of the vault. The door's closing behind you, and for all intents and purposes, just being secreted away. If you recall, of course, knowing the entrance to this makes you suspect if anybody should happen to use this entrance in the near future to commit some sort of heist or anything like that. But he leads you out through the Morgrave University grounds, down from the tower where you all had met him, out of the museum area. And soon enough, you're deposited in the Upper Memphis. And he says, I have no worries that you'll be able to procure your own transportation. Again, tomorrow morning in my office, as soon as you're ready. I have no appointments.
Sounds reasonable. I look forward to a good night of relaxation, and not in a train berth.
Right before we leave, or before he leaves, whichever one's happening first, I'm going to look him in the eyes and I'm going to say, I almost died. Just so you know.
But you didn't.
He suppresses a bit of a smile, and he hurriedly takes another couple of notes. And he says, "Do you think it was something of your gnomish nature? What was it that made it more perilous to you than your companion?"
I'd love to sit down and talk with you more about it, but I'm afraid that in order to do that, I'd have to secure a slightly different arrangement for myself and my friends here.
You can see he starts scribbling out something he had just written down. But he says, yes, of course. Bargaining. After the contract has been signed. Bold. But tomorrow. Let us speak of it tomorrow. You look a little worse for the wear than the others.
I'm going to nod. Nod at him very discreetly. Yeah, and nod at him discreetly.
Wringing sweat out of your clothes, probably, at this point. But yeah, you all are kind of discharged into the city to do as you see fit. Is there anything in particular you'd like to accomplish? I would say at this point, it is in the early afternoon, so maybe like 12, 1 o'clock or so. You have some time to spend in the city.
Oh. I'm going to check the accommodations first, see where they're putting us up. You know, just is it
yeah, easy enough.
See what the room's like.
Yeah.
You know.
You're able to secure a sky coach and to take you from the or you could work your way down through the tower if you're looking for a nice leisurely stroll, I suppose.
I've got nowhere to be, and they have street food.
Perfect. Yeah, especially around the university.
A ghost is just going to entertain himself for a little while. I need to step away for just a minute, but keep rolling.
Sure.
I'm not feeling so well, so I think I'm not going to take a leisurely stroll into this place. So if I could get a sky cab, yeah, I'd like to.
If you are getting a sky coach, I'll just probably ride with you then.
Sure.
Oh, excellent.
Well, it sounds like
someone's got to keep you upright.
I do appreciate that. I'm going to kind of stumble into him at the same time that I'm saying that.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll look up at him and I'll say, I almost died.
You're able to hail one with relatively little problem. Here in the university district, there are public like berths periodically or whatever. So you hail one just to go down basically to the middle Memphis part of the plateau. Again, he said it was near Smoky Towers, so you're able to give that instruction to your valet. 2 silver pieces, probably. It sounds like it was your idea, so it might be out of your pocket, but...
Yeah. I go ahead and give him 2 silver pieces. Yes,
all right.
Yes.
So you guys depart, actually climbing and banking around to the northern side of the plateau. And the traffic at this point has even picked up from where it was in the morning. You see all manner of conveyances and people just flitting about from tower to tower. You are here on like the southern side of the city, so to the north of you, you see even taller buildings kind of blotting out your view of the horizon, and looking south you have a view out over the sea. But as the cab banks around and descends on the far side of the plateau down to the middle Memphis area, you are deposited pretty much on the border of the districts known as Smoky Tower, and the other district here would be the Everbright district. Looking around, your sense of things, and some of you have probably been to Sharn before, the Everbright district is known as a mage's district, so you see all manner of bookbinders and peddlers of like arcane reagents and things like that. A few alchemist shops, but right on the border of it is Smoky Towers, which is a theater district filled with a couple of different theaters and revues and entertainments. So there are some taverns and fest halls here as well. The driver is actually able to deposit you right outside of your hotel, and as a Golden Dragon Inn, this is one of the banners of House Galanda. That's the right one, right? Yeah, they're the hotels. So this is as much like any other Golden Dragon Inn you've seen in your travels. You could see the halfling, the several halflings, maybe 2 or 3, in like a Golden Dragon costume in the lobby, moving about, kind of like a Chinese New Year parade style.
It's offensive.
This is the Golden Dragon, and as soon as you enter, everyone calls out, "Welcome to the Golden Dragon." But you are all allowed accommodations. Mentioning the Morgrave University gets you a discounted rate, but this is still a relatively fine hotel stay. Just a moment here. And they also offer like little solitary cells for warforged who don't need the glamour of a full room. Let's see. So usually a wealthy inn stay is 2 gold per night, but the university discount brings that down to just a gold per night, and that's for a room. And it includes a meal, of course. That will be breakfast, continental breakfast. But what kind of lodging arrangements are y'all going to make?
Oh, I'm probably going to take a room to myself.
Sure.
Yeah. Y'all snore. I'm gonna. Yeah.
Yeah, especially after being cooped up on a train.
I'll also ask if presuming we're checking in at the front desk or what have you. I'll ask, do they have do they recommend any particular shows that like it's dinner and a show sort of thing?
Vegas.
Yeah. The House Galanda host, nods and says, "Ah, yes, of course. Being on the border of Smoky Towers, there are quite a number of entertainments to choose from." And he gestures to just kind of like several stacks of pamphlets nearby. Okay. Kind of like when you're at the hotel and they've got all the local
travel guide
attractions.
section.
Yep.
He says, of all of those, which would we recommend? Any particular flavor of entertainment you're looking for? Song? Dance?
Gideon's not exactly a very high society dude, so he's probably not going to go see Cats. so to speak.
Gosh.
Is that high society?
Probably would not be above going to like a burlesque show, but does not have to necessarily be that risque.
Well,
Something amusing more so than anything else. Even like a comedy review, that sort of thing.
sure. The Crimson Lantern. Comedy most nights. The occasional dancing girls other nights. It seems exactly up your alley. And you can see that's one of the pamphlets sitting there as well. But
I don't suppose there's like a discount, like buy your tickets here and get half off or what have you.
We can use the power of House Galanda perhaps to negotiate a group rate. Would all of you be interested? All of your party?
Sure. I'll
sure.
buy that.
I'm sure a ghost will be interested.
I'm sure he is.
As long as there's something to drink, I think I'll.
He
be good,
looks
too.
up He's been reading
Sure.
as you've
What are
been
we doing
walking.
again?
All right. Yes. Then we'll secure tickets for this evening. Check with us in just a few hours before dinner time. Certainly, we'll have them.
Okay.
Sounds good to me. If they've given us keys, I'm gonna go probably get a cat nap in.
So I'm going to ask if the if the rate includes a bath or not.
Yeah. So you've been. I would say you probably stayed at a Golden Dragon. It's kind of like it would be the equivalent of like a Holiday Inn, So like you know the standard amenities, and as a fine inn stay, of course, yes, hot water, not even brought up to you, but through the miracle of House Kenneth Manufactory and a little bit of Galanda know-how, they pipe it straight into your room. Yes,
Sweet.
It's very
Take a
good.
shower.
Spirited Away style. They probably got a whole team in the basement.
Hot shower doesn't sound bad either after getting roasted in the face.
Yes. Yes.
Talion, go ahead and make a perception check for me with advantage, because this is something you've been looking for.
Ooh. 19.
Okay. That's very good. As you're walking, as everybody's kind of departing, I'm assuming this front counter lobby area and heading to their rooms, you notice something about the stacks of playbills and advertisements and such here. Stamped on the front of some of them, on the back of others. One of the guests in the lobby is like holding one up, and maybe that's where you first, the symbol first catches your eye. You see a stylized couple of interlocked letters with a little bit of like an embellishment around them. Definitely like a mark of some sort of company or such. The fact that it's across so many of these maybe confuses you for a moment, but it's two interlocking C's, a C and a C, just one meeting the other, and like I said, very like, I don't know, stylized, like a company logo almost.
Excellent. I'm gonna grab one to look at it a little bit closer. But as I'm looking at it, what occurs to me is that I recall my brother and sister, the close twins. Sometimes when they were younger, they would play games. And when they did that, a lot of times they would sign as one person, and it would always be this interlocking CC. It's not as nice as this one, but it's pretty close in some ways.
Yeah, that is certainly what occurs to you. And you said a boy and a girl. When you said twins, for some reason, I imagined they were both girls.
I'm sorry, they are both girls.
Okay. Yes, Cassia and Kalina. Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Yes, that is what strikes you. And the fact that this is stamped across all of these papers with a 19 perception, I would say you're able to piece together that they're not involved in any particular theater. It looks like they printed these playbills.
Sweet. So after I take a shower, I'm going to go back down to the common area, and I'm going to drink whatever the local ale is.
Sure.
Whatever that
At
costs.
the hotel bar.
At the
Yes,
hotel bar.
yes. At the hotel bar in Sharn.
And I'm going to ask the barkeep, I'm going to flip over this pamphlet that I've got. And I say, hey, you know this printer right here?
He takes. They have. This is a nice establishment, unlike some of the taverns you've been in. He turns over one of the coasters that's actually on the bar, and he taps on the same little logo, small and in the back corner. And he says, "Yes, of course, local operation, not too far from here." He's a halfling. He's like he's tending bar from like a platform on the back of it that keeps him at height with the rest of the customers. But he's kind of scurrying about, and he pours you a what would they be in Sharn? I'm trying to think of puns that involve height and towers and he pours you a top shelf ale. It's best I could do on short notice. It's a local brewery. They're not doing so great.
It's got a distinctive taste. It's not bad.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the other
It's
taps
very
there.
much-
There's the Eight Winds lager, the dregs of the cogs. It seems like some sort of cocktail of hard liquors. But anyway, as you were saying,
Yes. First of all, what do I owe you for this delightful beverage? I kind of gulp down a little bit more. It's kind of like a forced drink, but it's like I'm trying to be really nice about it.
it's 8 copper, which is maybe twice as much as your standard ale, but it's microbrew, so 8 copper.
8 copper. Delightful. And so I shell that out. Let's see here. And then I say, I shell out 8 copper, and then I shell out 4 more, and I say, could you possibly give me directions to where this little outfit is?
Certainly. He begins to name a couple of streets, roughly describing like a several block walk from here. Still on the border of the Smoky Towers and Everbright district, but just a few blocks to the east, etc., etc. He says that it is on Wheelwright Lane. Wheelwright Lane.
All right.
Let me make a note of that.
So I'm going to take a look at the time, and I'm going to mosey on back over to the gentleman that was helping us with the burlesque tickets, and I'm going to ask him if he's got any kind of update on that situation yet.
Okay. Let's jump to Azure real quick.
Perfect.
Azure, you would not have come to Sharn if not for the good coin that Kadra had paid in advance. You have an enemy in this town, someone you swindled who was connected to the Dask. You swindled a lot of people in a lot of towns, so it even takes you a moment to remember who they were again. Were they a gnoll, an orc, a minotaur, or a gargoyle? Which do you remember?
Let's say Gnoll.
Gnoll? All right. And their name was, of course... You have a suggestion? I could throw some out.
Renard the Gnoll.
Renard. See, he thought he was fancy. He thought he was better than the average gnoll, but you swindled him nonetheless. You feel like it's best to probably leave town as soon as possible, but this lot that you've fallen in with seems to keep stumbling into money. So, is it worth the risk?
Of course.
I'm enjoying the money. Definitely the money. The money's good.
All right. As long as you can steer clear of Renard, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Perfect.
A ghost, if you don't want a room, I do have a closet in mind.
I'll forego the obvious and say, no, I'm fine. I'll stay in the room.
Perfect.
Refrigerator box or anything?
I was picturing like Futurama. You know,
Right. Yeah, that's what I was
Fry
thinking.
lives in Bender's closet.
Talion, I would say, everybody's showered and kind of rest up a bit. I think you did before you hit the bar as well. Are you looking to look into this matter before supper, or are you trying to meet back up with your group and look into it another time?
I would like to look into it another time. I'm not particularly comfortable wandering off by myself, considering that I almost died
Okay.
just a little while ago.
Perfect.
Wait,
Slightly traumatized there, aren't you?
little
Yeah.
mortality debuff there.
I almost died.
Well, then the host is able to tell you that they have secured you all discounted tickets. He says that it will only be, let's see, for the 4 of you. One of them's a warforged. But no, with the discount, it's only actually going to set you back like 3 silver for all 4 tickets. And that is, there's like
Includes dinner? Cool.
yeah, let's say it does. Why not?
I'm going to pull a Bono. I need another ticket just for my hat.
Oh, wow. Bold move. I mean, yeah, you do have that sick unicorn tiara, so that's true.
right.
But nonetheless, yeah, he's able to secure those tickets, so if you all would like to meet back up at this point, you gather...
Actually scrubbed, not wearing my armor for once.
Oh, bold move.
It's like the first time you've probably seen me out of armor.
Are you like in nice clothes? Like,
I have like a decent tunic and like breeches, you know.
okay.
But you've
Like,
got
I-
the best farmer's tan ever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Please tell me you're not wearing shorts.
No.
Flip-flops, sandals, yeah.
With socks.
Black socks.
No. Notably, I am wearing my like military style boots even with these.
Okay.
It's such a strange sight that at first my eyes kind of slide past you, like I didn't realize it was you. And then I remember the boots, and I like zoom back, and I'm like, Gideon, you clean up nicely.
I have to let it air out at some point.
Oh God.
Yeah. The smell.
You're one to
You
talk.
can't even smell.
That's just a line he ad-libs.
You just
Exactly.
sneeze.
Yeah.
Just whenever he assumes there's a...
I assume there's a smell.
Well, Smoky Towers is just to the northeast of you, and you can follow your noses and your ears, because there are barkers out trying to drum up enthusiasm for the various shows and reviews. And there are the conflicting smells of just booze and foods of the various like ethnicities. You smell gnomish cuisine, and you smell some of the spices of the Lazar principalities wafting out of some of these establishments. It seems like there's a showing of Rakshasas, a musical about feline entities from another realm.
Do they have buttholes?
Yes. Yes, of
Interesting.
course. That's the bold.
We
That's the
all lose 50 XP, all of us, including the DM.
Yeah. But there are a number of other shows being put on as well. But you've been told roughly what to look for, and the in lieu of a regular sign, there is a painted red like lantern beacon hanging out on a post. And there is a gentleman, probably a half-orc gentleman, taking tickets. You can see that he's got kind of like a disheveled suit in the Klebdetcher style, but definitely like torn in places, and his bow tie is undone, just kind of dangling around his neck. But yeah, the Crimson Lantern, I believe, was the name of the establishment. I need to write that down before I
I'm
forget
gonna
it.
make note of where that Lazar like food stand was, because after the show, get that on the way home.
Yeah, that place, when you walked by it, definitely smelled heavenly.
Oh yeah.
But the name of it was Dreams from a Far Off Land. And you could see that the windows were shut and guarded, and there was some kind of sheepish-looking people milling about. That place seems a bit more bawdy, perhaps.
Shady?
Yeah. Yeah, but nonetheless.
I'll put in a takeout order. I don't have to stay.
I mean, it's like when you go to a strip club for the buffet. Sometimes you're just there for the food.
That's, yeah.
I've been to a strip club twice in my life, and both times it was to deliver pizza.
No, I don't have that experience, but that's the joke I was going for, Mike. So good, Michael. So good job. Yeah, so you guys take in an evening. Dinner is a pretty simple, like 2 courses, soup or salad, not both, and then standard bread, meat, cheese kind of deal. There's a number of acts, a couple of just like simple vaudeville juggling and such. None of them are like particularly skilled. None of them seem to be like attached to like Fjarlin or anything like that. You don't see any bards of any great renown. There is a halfling, at one point comedian, who does tell a few jokes that might make you laugh. He asks, of course, why don't halflings plan for the future? And
I don't know. Why don't I will respond every time.
Because we're short-sighted. And, the crowd's a mixture of laughs. The meal was included in the price, but the drinks were not. So you guys probably, as a table, run up a tab. Over the course of the night, the warforged member not included. The halfling also quips, "What's a dwarf's idea of a balanced diet?"
I don't know what it.
So can somebody turn this guy off?
Trust me, we've been looking for the off switch.
And he says,
it just goes to Spanish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like Data style. You just got to reach into the back of the neck. And he says, "A dwarf's idea of a balanced diet is a mug of beer in each hand." And that seems to get a good laugh and maybe a couple of jeers from some dwarves at the bar who kind of throw peanuts at him. But yeah.
Italian's like over laughing at every joke. It's the first day of the rest of his life, Just everything is so funny.
Wow, you really had that
I
brush.
might be a little inebriated at this point, which is saying something because Gideon's a big dude, but probably several glasses of whatever their cheap sweet wine is.
All right. Well, yeah. So you guys do pass the evening with a nice meal and plenty of cheap drinks. You'll probably run up a tab for the table of about like 3 gold pieces by the end of the night without tip. And you see, several couple hours worth of entertainment. Mostly like I said, the juggler, the comedian, a couple of bards. And then towards the later part of the evening, there is a dancing troupe. Again, not particularly talented, but at least interesting. Maybe on loan from the review down the street, The Dreams of a Far Off Land, but or maybe just moonlighting here. But all of that passes. Nothing untowards happens, and you all just spend a relaxing evening. Is there any particular thing that bubbles up in conversation or anything like that, or?
Is it cold or warm in here?
Fairly warm. They keep a hearth for cooking and just general ambiance.
As Italian gets toasty, he starts at some point in time. He's like, "I ever tell you guys about my family? A lot of them
You seem to have some issues with your brother."
Oh, he's a good guy. I've got family here too. I think. Well, I think they came here anyway. I think they're the ones that made all these fancy. And I still have the little, brochure. And I'm like, all these fancy brochures. And I kind of point to the CC. I'm like, right there. Yeah. Cassia and Kalina. That's my sisters. And I kind of just...
That imply that you want to make a family visit.
Not tonight. Tomorrow.
Yes, look of courage right there. Totally egging you on.
Well, you all eventually adjourn from this, learning a little bit more about your gnomish companion. Michael, aside from interacting with the... or I should say, a ghost, aside from interacting with the comedians and such, I mean, everybody here is eating and drinking. How do you fit in with that, or do you just...
I think that a ghost actually might be pretty infatuated with this whole telling jokes thing. That might be the first time I've ever actually heard a set up joke. So I think a ghost is going to try to like make up his own, but they'll be nonsensical. I'll just be like random words like, why doesn't a thing, and then the answer just doesn't make any sense. But I'm gonna keep trying to. I guess I'm going into full data mode here. I'm trying to figure out how comedy works, but I will be very bad at it.
Have you ever seen The Good Place?
Yes,
Derek.
Janet.
No, you're Derek.
Oh,
Maximum Derek.
yes.
Sorry.
You spill your dice.
Yes, I am.
I don't want to nickel and dime you all, but we're looking at a 3 gold tab. How's that getting paid?
This was my
server.
idea.
That's not
I'll
me.
spring for it.
Oh, thank
This
you.
was my idea. I'll do it. And I'll, in fact, leave 5.
Oh, nice tip.
A big
Is this like an
number?
open mic night?
open mic? No, that's tomorrow. I should just yes and you. Yeah, actually, no.
So whenever you say you're going to get it, I've actually already put some money on the table, so I'm just kind of like reach my hand over. I'm trying to be really sly, but everybody can see me. And I take my one.
I acknowledge him, and as the guy who shook him down earlier about pay, I say, "This was my idea. I'll pay for it," and I will like push your money back towards you.
Oh.
Much thanks.
When you retire for the evening, you find your beds comfy, for those of you that find beds. And when you awake in the morning, you will have advanced to another level of experience in life.
I'm suddenly smarter than I was before.
But before we actually get to that point, a ghost, you've been researching, as a wizard should, in between quote-unquote leveling up. And you've been sketching out plans in your spellbook for the next spells that you're going to learn. And aside from that, a lot of just general arcane research and things like that.
A lot of jokes near the bottom.
Now they're filling the perimeter.
Yeah, now it's all jokes. Why don't warforged breathe? Because we don't have to.
Oh, perfect. But you also wrote the pause in there. It's like, why don't warforged breathe? Pause. Someone will say why.
Yeah.
Go to. Go to 10.
If then I got it's like code.
Like an epic sensation.
You've sketched out a series of symbols that you believe are in your studies leading you towards something akin to like a clairvoyance spell. I meant to look this up before the game. Does anybody know that Warforged... What's the word for the symbol that a Warforged has on their forehead?
A mark of making?
No, I think... Isn't that the dragon mark? I'm trying to think.
Like
It doesn't...
factory seal?
Yeah. I'll get to it some other time.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, you find yourself preoccupied with this symbol. And at the time that all of your organic companions are sleeping... you decide that it's time to sentries rest, late into the night, having written some jokes and worked on your arcane research. Something happens to you that has never happened in your existence. Granted, you haven't existed or been conscious for very long, and you might typically enjoy new experiences, but this is a strange one. You see a lonely tor, like a stone, basically, like a hill, cliff. You see a lonely tor jutting up amidst a barren expanse of stone and dust. Your perspective pans around the rock, and you observe, as time passes, figures perch atop it and survey the land in every direction, keeping watch in shifts as the sun claws across the sky above. A caravan approaches from the south, a band surrounding a pair of carts that begins to wave red flags frantically. And as the sun sets, the caravan approaches a rift in the base of the rock and enters within. Over all of this, you hear a chorus of raspy voices speaking swift and guttural words, over a chorus of faint serpentine hissing. What languages do you speak?
Common and Dwarven.
You don't recognize the language being spoken here. And as darkness begins to kind of blanket the landscape, as you observe this montage, you could see that the figures seem to remain atop the rock. They don't light any torches. They do keep their watch. And the whole thing just kind of falls into darkness, kind of unassuming, not really standing out. But as your field of vision is kind of consumed in this darkness, there's a flash of amber light that fills your field of vision in the shape of the arcane symbol you have now seen twice. Make a Constitution saving throw for me.
17 on the die, 20 total.
Okay. It's morning when you awake, and it's weird to use that term because you don't normally sleep, but you come to from this vision. And for a split second, you feel tense. Like you feel like every stone and wood part of your body is like locked up, but it passes immediately. And you jolt back to consciousness. And it is morning. And you have benefited from a long rest, but...
Okay. I need to figure out how a ghost would react to having a dream. Because this is completely a new experience.
Yeah. A dream.
I'm going crazy!
Yeah.
All right. And did you have any specific questions? Not what was that, because I won't answer that, but...
Yeah. No, I mean, does the mountainside match anything I've seen in waking life? Is it any place I have visited in my short lifetime?
It is not a place that you have visited. The desolation reminds you perhaps a bit of the Mournlands where you were found, but you know that it is not. But it is somewhere equally as barren and equally as, like, pseudo-desert-like. I would say you can make an intelligence check to see if there's anything you may have read about that would lead you to some likely conjecture. History, let's say, if you're...
Okay. Yeah, history's good. 18 on the die, it's 23.
Wow. You think that this reminds you of, if it's not the Mournlands, there are some other deserts, of course, that, scar the face of Corvair. But given the serpentine hissing and your recent brush with Droam, you believe this is perhaps a tour located in the Stonelands of Droam.
So what I'd like to do, if you'll either let me just do it or I can roll for it, is I want to see if I can recreate that language. I know I don't know what it means, but could I mimic it so that I could repeat it to someone else and say, do you know what this means? And say something in Spanish that I don't know what it means, but I'm just could I recreate that sound well enough for someone who does speak it to know what I heard?
Sure. Yeah. Who would you like to recreate it for?
Well, I mean, just like everyone now. Just like as I'll walk around just saying it, just to wait to see if someone responds.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'll just put a snake language phrase or something.
Yeah. Seems probable. You know a little bit of parcel tongue now. Go to the zoo.
I mean, it'll be the thing where I just like, oh, by the way, and then I'll say it, and I'll just wait for someone to go, oh, Tuesday, and be, oh, great. And,
Yeah. How dare you speak of my mother?
yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently, I just married this lady.
One way. Yeah, and yes, okay. And you feel like you were successful in fighting off whatever influence that symbol would have had on you. You don't know if seeing it in a vision would have also had the ability to petrify you, and luckily you didn't have to find out. So that's you. All right, 4th level, everyone.
Yay!
So how do we want to do hit points? Do we want to just all take averages, or do we want to roll honor system? Did everybody already roll? What happened?
I haven't touched it yet. I'm all right
looking.
taking.
I take the average.
Yeah.
Average?
knowing your dice.
I have
So
2
my
votes for
dialogue.
average. The average sounds fine. So take your average and add your constitution modifier. And, yeah. And, of course, you can take a feat, or you can bump up your ability scores at this point. Talion, I think you got a couple of 15s, so you could bump up your charisma and your dex. That would be good.
I'm sorely tempted. I really want to pick up Sentinel next, but that getting up to an 18 in strength is really tempting.
Let me see.
Well, you can all ponder that as you as we go about here. I'll give you all a couple minutes to think on that.
Of course, I don't have my book with me. Is that something I can decide in between games? Because I'm
Yeah.
not sure yet what I want to do.
Yeah, that's fine.
I don't have any odd scores I want to raise, so if I raise it, it won't really do anything right now. So I'm leaning towards a feat for that reason, but I don't know.
Yeah, that's perfect. Talion, do you think you want to check out this print shop before the meeting with Fedek, or is this a later thing?
I want to be as focused as possible for Fedek because I'm going to try and persuade him to give us more money. So let's do it afterwards.
Okay.
Yeah.
I probably would go to Talion first thing to try to get them to see if they recognize it, because it kind of sounds like he did last night when he was drunk. So I'm going to see if he knows what that sound is, and if he doesn't, I might try to get him drunk to see if that will help him remember it, because it sounds a lot like what he sounded like last night.
Talion, what languages do you speak?
It's a very good question.
Common, Gnomish.
Give me a second and I shall tell you. I must find it. Because I'm using D&D Beyond, so I must find it.
I also have a copy of your character sheets. I could have looked to see if anybody spoke this language, and
There you go.
then I would have the power in this situation.
Unlimited power!
Talion.
I'm not going to be in, or none of you are really ever going to be in melee alongside me, are you?
Not if I can help it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If
that's
so,
not gonna
something
happen.
has gone terribly wrong.
Incredibly, terribly wrong.
I only have common and gnomish on your sheet. Alan, let me know if you find
I'm
anything
pretty.
differently.
No, I'm pretty sure that's it. Yeah, there it is. Sorry, I'm sitting here looking everywhere, and it's right there. Yeah, common.
I think I'm
English,
going to go with the
that's it.
strength bump.
Gideon's like, I take the linguist feat, and I speak whatever language. Azure and Gideon,
Still peeking. I'm not sure if there's anything I want to bump my
Yeah.
stats. Although
no.
if I do put my con, I get more.
yeah, all that as well. But
What
specifically,
languages do you speak?
a ghost comes to you in the morning and starts spouting gibberish at you to see if you understand.
Him. That's a Married with Children reference for those of you who get that. Him.
I already we were talking about. So if any of you could check your languages and just tell me which ones you speak.
Sorry.
Common and Carnathy.
Carmen, Draconic, and Primordial.
Ooh, primordial, sexy.
It's none of those. Honestly, a ghost, out of everything that you've heard, this language is made like it has a couple of sounds that remind you of Dwarvish. It's definitely got that short and like staccato kind of like.
Am I able to like sketch the symbol that I saw? Does it like if I write it down, do I instantly petrify myself?
No, I mean you could make a drawing of it for sure. It looks identical to the one that you've seen in the book that you found in Zalargo and in the oh my god, in the graphic novel that you read.
Oh, okay.
You saw the remnants of the symbol. That's the
Helpful
same thing.
ogre.
Yeah, Hoger the helpful ogre. Thank you.
It was so helpful.
All right,
Cool.
so it sounds like a meeting with Fedek is in order. At this point in the morning, it's difficult to obtain a sky coach to even Upper Memphis, as a lot of individuals are kind of bustling off to their work throughout the city of Sharn, and specifically, I mean, there's a lot of foot traffic that's going up to the Upper Memphis. You see, there are some university students. You see like a whole dozen of them come pouring out of a small building that they must all share as an apartment, and they're heading for the various lifts and paths that lead up to Upper Memphis. So you guys are able to kind of join in the morning commute. You pass by a number of small breakfast food carts and coffee.
Yep.
Yes. And there are lines for some of them, but there are so many that kind of clutter the streets at certain points as you get close to the university grounds, that you're able to secure a pastry and a cup of coffee for, pocket change. You make your way back.
But everybody's frozen, so I don't know if you guys lost me there. But I was listening.
Oh, okay. You all
I got a Danish.
Nice.
Yeah, that's what you missed. Write that down.
Maybe that's the language.
Oh, that's
The
true.
Danish or is it
Are you just
Polish?
Are you looking for anybody on the street in particular, or are you?
Well, maybe the students, like they all study. I'll start.
Oh, now you
frozen.
froze. This is that fabled bad internet that he has.
Bum, bum, bum.
But you all make your way to. Oh, you're
Oh,
back.
you're back.
Okay.
See, on my side, you're all frozen. I'm fine. It's
It's
me,
you,
it's
It's you.
yeah. It literally popped up and said your internet sucks. I think that's pretty funny.
Let me just make a luck check for you, just to see if you hit the right person here. That's kind of cocked. Okay.
I mean, it's okay if this is supposed to be a while. It's fine if no one knows it. But I just, establishing ghost persistence and annoying factor.
No, definitely. You try it on a few students, and a lot of people just kind of scurry away from you. You make your way back up to Upper Memphis, and you cross the bridge that connects it to Margrave University proper. I'm looking for all of my sweet, sweet fluff that I had about Sharn. Pettigdoring and Margrave University. You know where the curator's office is now, so you are able to make your way through the morning crowds. Everybody's scuttling off to class, and you admit yourself to the university grounds, make your way to his office, and knock. He calls for you to enter. His animated chairs do creep out of their resting places and arrange themselves in front of his desk, and he calls for you all to have a seat, and he looks to you and he says, Master Tildavande, I believe you wanted to negotiate further. I hope you don't mean to leverage your knowledge of my organization's secret proclivities for more coin out of our coffers.
I'm gonna.
The mind wipe is still an option.
I'm a little confused at this moment. Like that's how I'm going to act. And then I am just going to straight up tell you that I'm trying to persuade him and do a check because I don't want to do a bunch of talking. If that's cool with you.
All right. Let's see how good you roll, and then we can fill in the scene a little bit here.
14. Not a very good roll.
And remember, you can't roll lower than a 9, so if you roll lower than a 9, it's a 10.
I guess that's... Yeah, okay, so it's a 10... 17 then. That's what it is.
So you, in diplomatic and
at first you didn't sound that persuasive, but after reflection, it actually was a better job than I thought originally.
You come from the nation of Zilargo. Words are your weapons. And you assure him in short order that you don't mean to... You're not spilling any secrets. You're just asking that, despite what your friend may have implied about the lax nature of his wards and watches, that you were thoroughly impressed and you were thoroughly injured. And as such, you're just asking for just a little bit more consideration in terms of compensation. And you can see that his demeanor kind of softens a bit. And he was kind of scowling at you as you entered. But he's had a few drinks of his coffee and he's heard your words. He softens. And he says, because I work so closely with the Crown and its intelligence organizations, I was given dossiers on all of you. What information is known between the nations of Zilargo and Breland. On you, my gnomish friend, it said that you were one who had a silver tongue, and I could see that reputation was well earned. Of you, the warforged, not much is known. You don't seem to have been affiliated with any particular nation in the last war, and as such your manufacture is suspect, interesting, unique.
I'm a mystery wrapped in an enigma.
Shrouded in puzzle.
That's a joke, right? Like that's one of your
right.
What am I? No, really, what am I? What am I? And he looks to you, Azure, and he says, "The trust secured you from secured your services as a bit of a cell sword or a cell spell, standard troublemaking in your file here, and you, the what'd you say?"
A little bit of fun that got out of hand.
Yes. Well, and you, a soldier, again, maybe for hire since the last war, but with a perhaps distinguished record here. I take from what little information that the Trust has gathered on you that you served in the last war.
Very pointedly, not trying to be aggressive, but rather pointedly, I did, and now I'm done with it.
Well, perhaps the line of credit could be extended somewhat for the lot of you. If you, a ghost, will agree to meet with some interested parties who would like to ask of you a few questions and make a few observations. And for you as well, Gideon Blacklake.
Scowl just a little bit, but also nod, like, fine.
There's a member of the history department here that has a particular interest in Karn's military practice. Just a brief conversation with him. And if the two of you will submit to that, I don't need any further trouble from the other two of you. And we can say, instead of 400 gold pieces, we'll extend your line to 500 gold pieces.
All I wanted was an extra 100.
An extra 100 for 4 of you makes 400 out of my coffers, but there is some discretionary overhead in the budget that is allotted for the business of the archives, Sub Rosa.
Our advantages for working for the crown.
God save the king. Gods save the king, I guess. But yeah, so basically, to be honest with you, Ghost, I didn't really write up questions for you, but they would definitely have questions for you. But we will...
That's fine. I have questions for them, too.
Yeah. I think it is a short conversation. They just basically get your height and weight and then realize that a conversation with you is out of the question. But yes. You...
Him.
You do split off. Oh, you want to... Okay. Well,
oh, yeah.
That'll be to your benefit. We'll come to that in a minute.
Okay.
He writes down... actually, no. He'll call for a couple of his undergrads to escort you to a couple of other offices in the building. The other two of you, he says that you can wait in the lobby to rejoin your friends. They should be along shortly, maybe only about an hour or so. So that brings us to Gideon real quick. Gideon, you are meeting with this professor of history. You can see that the title on his door, and I need to name him. What's a good Brelish name here? You can see that it's Professor Balnor Consden. And it is written under his title is Professor of History of the Five Nations. The undergrad leads you to his office, and you're ushered within. There's just stacks of books everywhere, almost to the point that it's a fire hazard, because there is a small hearth in this room with a bubbling pot of coffee hanging over it, kind of filling the room with the aroma of just like leather binding and black coffee. You can see that he's a really aged human individual, maybe like in his late 60s or early 70s. He closes this book, and you can see a layer of dust just kind of shake free from it as he does so, and tosses it onto his desk, and kind of scoots the stacks aside to form a window to talk to you through. But he gestures for you to take a seat. And then actually, as you approach his desk, he says, no, this will be better. He gestures to a couple of seats by the fire. Just a couple of like overstuffed leather chairs, high-backed. And he bids you to sit. He offers you a cup of coffee. He also sets a quill on like a writing desk that's like levitating nearby, like a fixed point. He just like sets it there and it floats, and he sets the quill and it begins to float. And he says, I'd like to take some notes during our conversation, if that's okay.
I gesture and pour myself a cup of coffee.
Okay. He has several questions, but some of the highlights that we'll go over would be, he asks kind of about your experience in the Karnathi military, and he explains that in light of the Treaty of Thronehold, military practices have been shared between the nations of Breland and Karnath, but he just wonders if anything differs from how it was before the war. It was so long ago back then. Undoubtedly, you were taught to believe that all of the other nations were cowardice dogs and would fall under your... he like looks at you, hammer? But he asks...
I'm skilled in a number of different weapons. Hammer for the time being.
Yeah, it says it's a suitable tool.
If I'm fully outfitted, I have spear and hammer and throwing axes, like
well, he
I'm
asks,
a walking arsenal.
Yeah. Of your training at Reckonmark, my colleague from downstairs told me only scant details about you, but that happened to be mentioned. Of your training at Reckonmark, what do you think best prepared you for service during the last war?
If nothing else, the Reckonmark has a propensity to instill order. The ability to learn how to follow orders in a disciplined manner, how to stay in formation in the face of fireball and horror.
You saw your share of horrors, I imagine.
War is a terrible thing, Professor. It is good that it is so terrible, lest we grow to enjoy it.
He gestures vaguely over the hearth. He's a man of some years, and he kind of, when he shuffled from his desk over to the seat, you could see that he was moving kind of roughly. But you could see mounted above the hearth, and you probably actually would have spied this coming into the room, being of your particular ilk. A pair of crossed wands mounted on a small placard above the hearth there.
Look like a military trophy of some sort.
Yeah, there's a plaque underneath. Now that you're seated this close, you could see that it bears his rank. Basically, it says Magebred Sergeant first class, and Balner Constant. So he nods and he says, "I'm interested to hear a bit. This is more so for my personal edification." And the quill has been kind of scribbling as you guys have been talking. He says, "A lot of propaganda has come about post-war. What do you believe caused the mourning? What have you been told caused the mourning, if anything?"
The majority of Karnath is led to believe that it was some malfunction of some Syrian war machine. Something of enough devastation that left their land a blasted waste.
He jots that down. But then he looks at you and he says, "Do you believe the Syrians deserved it?"
I don't believe that anyone deserves that.
Well, as I said, I have a personal interest in the propaganda efforts of the Five Nations, and I didn't know if you felt that... do you feel that others in your nation were indoctrinated to believe that the Syrians were to blame? Or that they at least deserved it or brought it upon themselves?
Kind of take a long sip of coffee, think about that, and kind of glare at him just a little bit over the cup. We're well aware of what the other nations think of Karnath. That a nation ruled by the undead, unholy rites in the street, and the free peoples of Karnath, usable only until their bodies drop and then are raised as the undead. The truth is not so idealistic as King Caius would have you think, nor is it so vile as Onder and Thrain would have you believe. I've seen a lot of good men in my share of combat doing the right thing to preserve their country, to preserve their way of life. I've seen a lot of terrible men using their power for personal gain and for petty vengeance. War is a terrible thing. It is good that it is so terrible.
He nods. And he kind of tips the quill down at this point, so that it stops scribbling as you're speaking. He clears his throat, and he also takes a nice long drink, and he says, "Breland is not without its faults for the last war either, and there are some in the streets of this city that would tell you otherwise, but those of us that saw things firsthand and those of us that have studied such conflicts, we are thankful for the Treaty of Thronehold. We're thankful that this has all come to an end.
There are acts in one nation that would earn valorous arms, that in another would be grounds for execution. I'm gonna invoke my ideals here. Ideals aren't worth killing for or going to war over.
Well, the matter is settled by those much higher up on the chain of command than ourselves.
There's nothing settled. Even now, as well as I, there are movements in the shadows. Each nation trying to be the nation.
Well, perhaps the 12 will see to it that we all keep the peace. Peace is profitable. But
War.
Peace is profitable, war is profitable. Yeah, those are both rules of acquisition.
I cannot remember the which god it is, the one of greed, but I make reference. That's the only one that profits.
He now the quill is down. Like I said, you guys have had a little bit of conversation surrounding this. It hasn't all just been hard-hitting questions, but eventually he, as the time kind of draws nearer to an end, he says, "I believe my colleague knows that I have a particular interest in certain military actions, and I've been told that you were present during the sacking of Atur. I've known other veterans to call it the longest nights."
The nostrils flare just a bit. I'm trying unsuccessfully not to let on that. Yup.
What was your experience there?
I start as he's asking this. I start unlacing my left boot, which notably these big hobnailed, military style boots. Set down the coffee mug, roll up my pant leg, and on the back of Gideon's calf is a very jagged scar from maybe a spear point or some other piercing implement. Very obviously, the muscle has not healed correctly. It's still functional, but this is why Gideon has a -1 dex.
Oh.
But I'll tell him I spent the majority of the longest night laid up in a field hospital. Wherein the commander of the garrison commanded the wounded to be executed and raised. Even as the Ondarians broached our borders and stormed our streets and burned the city around us. I don't know which of my brothers in arms dragged me from stoving his head in. But I woke up in a refugee camp 3 days later. That is what I remember of Atur.
I'm told that the clergy of Vol, in an attempt to defend the city, invoked its ties to Mabara, the Plane of Night, and that the entirety of the battle, for as long as it stretched on, was in darkness. When you awoke in that refugee camp, do you remember how it felt to see the sun again?
Was no sun after the longest night. It stormed. It rained for 4 days afterwards.
Huh.
There was no sun after the longest night.
He nods. You sit in silence for a while after that.
I drain the coffee and pour myself another cup.
He totters over to his desk and opens the bottom drawer, and he pulls out a bottle of some brown liquor. And he spices his up and then offers it to you.
I gladly Irish up the coffee, so to speak.
The outro to that conversation tends towards the more lighter fare. And he also tells you a bit about his experience as a magebred. But yeah, you spend a little bit of time having drinks and exchanging war stories.
Careful as I can while I'm talking to him, not to let on like that my family is of a particular like military decorum, and like no references to siblings. Like I'm gonna try to cut out as much of that as I can, but otherwise honest.
Yeah, and you maybe somewhat get the impression that he was saying at some point after the longest night you must have seen the sun. But the way that you reiterated that point just led him to believe that, like, you don't really want to talk about this anymore, and that you don't see the world the same. So he's just like, all right, that's enough. I got what I needed. Yeah.
It left its mark, and there's no going back from that.
Yeah. We cut over to another office where a couple of would-be... you see one of them bears the mark of making. One of them might be attached to House Cana. The rest of them just look like artificer apprentices and magerites. Have tape measures out, and they've been taking the measurements and asking you all kinds of excited questions, a ghost. At a certain point, you do just blurt out these phrases that you've heard, or the snippets of dialogue. And one of them goes, "Do you speak Goblin? What is this? Are you swearing at us?" Oh, you're muted.
Wait, that's Goblin?
Yeah.
What am I saying?
Him. The caravan has arrived from the crag. Tell the others to keep on watch. What was that last thing you said? And you repeat another phrase. And they say, "We are secure here. We are safe," basically. But yeah, it's some of the way that you're dropping a few of the letters and such. It's a patois of Goblin that they speak. They call it drome, the residents of what we call Droam. They call it drome. Pronunciation, not my forte, but I've been studying my Goblin. It's a language so easy a Goblin can learn it. It's got to be an easy A.
So you learned that here?
Yes. Moorgrave University has courses in all the languages of the realms.
Interesting.
Yeah, but you use like the Castilian S or something when you're talking, so they're like, oh yeah, no, that's how they say it in Drome. But yeah, just those are the only real snippets that you recall. Yeah. And like I said, it was that over some light serpentine hissing. But yeah, you gain that. They try to have a conversation with you, to ask you some questions about who you are and what you, your construct. Do you share any? Do you hide anything? I guess
I'm so naive. No, I would offer anything. I just don't know there's anything that would be of particular interest because I just don't understand. But no, I'll be honest.
Okay. They take notes. They seem incredulous. They say, they roll out a map and gesture to all of the known creation forges at the time that they were decommissioned or otherwise rendered inoperative, and there are some in Sire, which became the Mornlands, but they don't, from what you're describing, not to their recollection, not to anything they've learned so far. So you are truly a unique construction, perhaps from a unique line. Do you know if any others were manufactured like you in your image, in this style? 8 3/4.
Do not.
All right. Well, you.
It's safe to say they broke the mold after they made me.
You get a laugh.
Wait, that was a joke? Damn it, I'm going to start writing stuff down.
Yes, exactly.
Oh,
Well,
he made a funny.
in short time, you all regather in the lobby of Morgrave. Oh, Fedek has waiting there one of his undergrad students was entertaining you guys in the lobby, making sure that you had water and such. By the time the rest of the party regathers, he pulls out a piece of parchment to take notes, and he asks of you what all you would like for the university to manufacture on your behalf. Again, if you guys haven't decided already, I know Gideon, I think yours is spent, but if you guys want to look at those lists of magic items, you could just say, I tell him what I want, and you'll have it next session, pretty much. We don't need to go through it.
So Ghost takes a sort of a step forward and says, I want to enroll as a student here.
Jeez. This is where your adventure ends.
First 4 5 to go to college.
Interesting. I don't think the curator had this in mind. It may be possible.
I'm gonna kind of clap the fatherly hand. We'll need to raise some funds for your tuition first.
Perhaps I can do like a work-study program and like clean or do dishes. But there's so much to learn. There's so many books.
Indeed.
We'll stop by the bookstore on the way out.
Don't look at the price tags.
They can discuss it with the Fedek. I don't know how long of a course of study you would like to take here, but let's just say that you say that, and he says, I will check with Curator Doring. You're staying at the Golden Dragon. We'll reach out to you if you stay. You're staying at least another night in the city, I hope.
I look at Gideon.
Yeah, everybody nods. All right.
Yeah.
I'll check with Curator Doring. On the off chance that such an arrangement isn't possible, please let me know what other items might be on your wish list. So yeah, you guys are able to order that
out from that Lazarian place.
and I can reshare that price list in the group chat or whatnot. Okay, it looks like everybody's had their aside at this point except for Talion. Talion, are we going to get to that print shop? Is that on the list of things to do?
Oh man. I mean, it's 8:30 almost on my time, so 7:30 on yours.
Oh no, we're at 9:30, but
9:30
yeah, we're about to wrap up. But do you want to?
Why don't we just start with it next time instead of ending with it this time? Unless you really want to get to it, I don't mind either way. I wouldn't want us to get stuck in something.
No, that's fine. We can start with it next time. So yeah, make sure you guys level up to 4. Take your average hit points, do your stat boosts or whatever you want to do, or take your feats. You have 500 gold pieces worth of magical items that you can request. A ghost, we could talk about how to take a class and not. I mean, if everybody wants to live in Sharn for a couple of months or whatever while you take a cram course or something, that might be a thing. But
maybe it's something like I'm sure they're like in the middle of a semester or something.
Yeah.
I'm not
some courses for the next few.
Yeah, but I really think that's what a ghost would want to do. He found a institution of education, like it fits my character. I think that he would want to enroll.
Okay.
in some sort. But so again, it doesn't mean I have to use my money, but that's what I think would work.
One place.
I definitely want to get like a more grave like sweatshirt, maybe like a foam finger pendant.
The fighting giants, I think.
Yeah, or hippogriff, like whatever the Sharn, like the hippogriff race. Is that what it is? I'm sure there's some sort of mascot.
Yeah.
There was a thing because one of the Eberron campaigns that she ran in the past, I played a grad student basically.
Oh yeah.
And like we ended up in Zendrick, like on a field expedition that was sponsored by the university.
Yeah.
So I'll thumb through the one book, see what I can't find.
Yeah, I've got City of Towers too, so I can look at.
Okay, we don't have to spend like a lot of table time on it. I just think it fits what my character would want.
No, definitely.
And then I went ahead and took the keen mind feat, which gives me a bump to intelligence, but it also lets me have perfect recall of anything I've read in the last month.
And you can always ask me what time of day it is. And,
yeah, always know north, that kind of stuff.
It's a good one. Okay, so I really had a teaser thing I wanted to drop in here, so I'm still gonna do it.
Yeah, we can play with time.
Just follow along with me here. Okay, so we see the exterior of a small shop on Wheelwright Lane. A sign hangs out front, emblazoned in simple black ink, but a very highly stylized C and C interlocking and surrounded with a border of squiggly lines, and it's just very artsy. I'm not a artsy type myself. But we see this shop. It is roughly about the same time of day. And we cut to the interior and we hear the ringing of a bell as someone enters. The young, dark-haired, gnomish woman, her tan skin somewhat faded because of the absence from Zalargo, but her dark brown hair, somewhat unmistakable family resemblance to Talion, looks over towards the figure who's entered and glares. She sighs and says, "We have the custom order for you." She calls back for Kalina, her sister. And as Cassia turns back to this individual, kind of heavy footfalls stomp over towards the counter. And a set of furry hands reach and place on the counter. We pull back and we see a character that we have yet to meet, Renard, a gnoll, a representative of the Dask, here in Middle Memphis in broad daylight. Kalina comes from the back room, a sealed box tied in twine. Stamped on the front of it, it says Harbor Master's daughter's wedding invitations. Kalina places the box, sliding it across, and the two appear identical in all ways except for upon Kalina's hand we see the faint glimmering shine of the mark of sending, the mark of House Civis. Cassia looks to this gnoll, knowing that he very well hasn't come to this shop for any of their normal wares, and she says, "How much longer do we have to keep doing this?" Renard begins to laugh, a raspy, canine barking hyena laugh, as he says, I don't make these decisions, lady. I just I do as I'm told, and you should do the same. He tucks the box under his arm. We hear the ringing of the bell as he exits. He shrugs his cloak up over his shoulders and stalks off into the streets. As Cassia and Kalina just kind of share a glance at each other, very much what have we gotten ourselves into look passes between them. And that's where we'll end that.
Awesome.
That is awesome.
Yeah, so now that the heart of the seawall has been disposed of properly for the moment, we're going to move into like season 2, a new arc of adventures and whatnot. I was hoping, I guess I should have maybe sketched it out. We can figure out what direction you guys are going to go from here. It seems like you still have a little bit of business in Sharn, and then a couple of paths will open up. I will say, from a metagame perspective, the expert on Dakani artifacts has not returned from Zendrick, and the university might want your assistance in retrieving them so that they can study the heart, or
Like
the
a
vision.
free semester.
Yeah, or the vision that the ghost had. I don't know if he described it to you at length, aside from the gibberish that he learned.
Yeah, I haven't really explained where that came from yet. I would get to it at some point. Not yet, but because I was just so focused on that to begin with.
Yeah, has some clues that might point towards where the so-called fangs of Droam have layered for the time being. So whether you're going south across the ocean and into the jungle, or west on the map to where there be monsters, I guess we'll find out next time. But like I said, you guys probably still have some business to tend to in Sharn. Not that any of you know that.
Maybe there's some business in Sharn that needs to tend to us.
All right, perfect. Well, yeah. Thoughts, questions, comments, concerns? Good sesh. Everybody happy?
Good
No
sesh.
combat. No combat. No
And
dice
brought everyone
rolling.
down with the
War is hell.
War is Hell backstory.
Yeah, you're Ron Perlman. War never changes.
Yep.
No,
I was
perfect.
debating letting that one loose, but I was like, that's a little on the nose.
Look at this wicked sky.
Yeah. I was just rereading everybody's backstory and/or just your flaws and traits, and just trying to get an idea of how to tie you all into the story. Now that we are at a kind of a central point here, but yeah, there's a couple of other paths that will open up. But I have been your dungeon master this evening. My name is Ralph. I'm at Critthulu on Twitter. CRITTHULHU. Alan, you wanna say goodbye to everyone? No one?
Yeah, this is Alan, Big Al the lawyer, at Big Al the lawyer on Twitter. Playing Italian Tilda Von D. Still alive despite the best efforts of,
None the worse for wear.
yes, absolutely.
Avoiding family drama at every opportunity. I'm like, come on, go there.
So hesitant. I want to, but I'm scared. I haven't seen my sisters in years. Anyway, on to you, Andy.
I'm Andy, playing Gideon Blacklake at Blackfall Press on Facebook and Twitter and all those things.
I'm Jules, playing Asher, the Storm Sorceress, at This Nerdy Home on Facebook.
I am Michael. You can find everything I do at the RPG Academy, and I'm about 12 days away from a catacon. So if I survive that, we'll be back next time.
Yeah. All right. Well, see some of y'all at a catacon, maybe, and otherwise, see y'all next time.
We'll
My work
see.
thing, Vince?
We'll
I have no
see.
idea. They don't know what they're doing yet either.
Yep.
So,
All right.
It's another
Whatever.
mystery wrapped in an
I
enigma
know,
shrouded
right?
in puzzle.
Well, have a good one, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
There's
Bye.